when I get discouraged and when I'm tempted to give up and I feel that really I'm not making a difference and my work is really not helping, or I think to come back to the gospel values which underlie my work, to come back to the spirituality of the Spiritan rule of life, about availability and about commitment. They're very encouraging words, and they kind of lift one out of oneself, and I think that's really the key for me of why I continue to be a lay Spiritan and why I feel it's so important.
We're often asked about the formation and spirituality of lay Spiritans, and what's the difference between the lifestyles and the life of lay Spiritans and professed Spiritans? Well, obviously it's very different, and yet there's a lot that's becoming the same, and more so all the time. I think more we now see the professed and the non-professed working together in projects.
We're not sort of second best religious. We feel that the strengths, the gifts that we bring to the order are because of our layness, because of our working in the world, because of our struggling with family life, with children, struggling with relationships as husbands and wives, etc.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this
The tradition has been to have a community meeting every Thursday, and that consists of people gathering, and there's usually a meditation for the evening, and sometimes it might be the scripture reading for the following Sunday, and people might meditate on that. If people have decisions coming up in their life, they will again discuss those, and that leads on to sitting around and having tea, and usually this takes 2 or 3 hours. But it is why I think we are such a close community, is because of all these times of sharing. But there's something very sacred about this. What is discussed here is just within the community.
We feel that we have our own spirituality as lay people. It's not necessarily exactly the same spirituality as the professed Spiritans would have.
We didn't come in and have a spirituality imposed on us. The provincial at the time said that it was up to us to evolve a spirituality within. So we weren't given a book of prayers and this. We were told to evolve it. And it has evolved out of the Spiritan community and the Spiritan community gatherings. We're all individuals, so we probably all have our own way of personal prayer. There's a suggestion, and the Spiritan guide is that people should try and make half an hour for personal prayer every day. I know in my own life, it's almost like a barometer when I pray and when I don't pray. My favorite thing is to sit up on a rock somewhere in the sun, and I always think of the sunshine as the love of God radiating all over me. To sit on a rock at the edge of a northern lake and there just rest in God, and that to me is the way I have perfect prayer, and things come to you when that happens.
Now that you know more about us and what we do in our everyday lives, you might be interested in becoming closer to us and finding out more. Perhaps you might sense that you are even called to join us in community. You are wondering whether you would fit in and what exactly is involved. We would very much like to have new members. We're very open and we welcome people from many different backgrounds. Not necessary to have a a degree or be educated in a formal sense. I think that we're looking more for commitment, for faith, and for the ability to get along in community. The kinds of characteristics or personality traits that might be helpful would be flexibility, being able to work in community with people who may not necessarily share all your views, being comfortable in interfaith situations, in interracial situations, having a sense of humor, and I think really having a commitment to working with marginalized peoples. I think that's really important. When a woman or man feels called to join with the lay Spiritans, the first thing they might do would, I think, be to obviously contact the provincial office of the Spiritans, which is in Laval House in Toronto. We have our own lay Spiritan guide, which is a small pamphlet in which sets out some of the information that a person who's interested would need to know before making a decision to become a lay Spiritan. People who are interested in becoming lay Spiritans would start then probably to attend our monthly masses, our gatherings, and just gradually get to know us. They might consider then joining in a formation program, which would be a little bit more formalized.
We thank you for our safe arrival from our many destinations. We ask that you touch our minds, touch our hearts, open us up to that spirit, that what we accomplish this weekend.
That process might take a couple of years, and if after that time they felt they wished to make a first commitment, an initial commitment, then they would apply to the provincial of the order. This weekend I will be making my permanent commitment to the Spiritans along with my husband Gary, and these are the words that I will be saying. Father Provincial, I request that you accept my permanent commitment to work within the Spiritan congregation. If accepted, I promise to work with Spiritans for the rest of my days on the building up of God's kingdom of love and justice and peace.
Joy. It gives me great joy to accept that commitment on behalf of John Geary, on behalf of the Spiritans of Trans-Canada. Thank you for making it. We're glad you're one of us.
Father Pat, I request that you accept my permanent commitment to work within the Spiritan congregation. If accepted, I promise to work with Spiritans for the rest of my days in the building of God's kingdom of love and justice and peace.
Gary, it gives me great joy to accept that commitment, and on behalf of John Geary and all the Spiritans of Trans-Canada, thank you for being one of us.
For me, these words are very meaningful. I have worked with Spiritans now for, it must be close to 20 years. I made my initial commitment in 1991, and I think the important part of being a lay Spiritan is that one commits oneself to work hand in hand with the congregation, with other Spiritans, professed and lay, so that you're never alone. It's not an isolated ministry, but you feel that you are supported and carried by this community.
I'm gonna let it shine everywhere I